This is a special presentation from UFC Fight Pass. Step into our world at UFCFightPass.com. This is Extra Rounds. Extra Rounds.
It is Extra Rounds here, and the Octagon was live in Sydney tonight as Dricus du Plessis looked to defend against a familiar foe in Sean Strickland. It was just about a year ago that these guys did battle in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. On that night, it was DDP who claimed the throne by dethroning one Sean Strickland, taking home the title back to South Africa, making history. But it was Strickland over the last year that was talking about wanting a fight again with DDP, and sure enough, he got it. And it took place tonight, and they battled in the main event of UFC 312. What was the story? Who's going to be the champion, or who is the champion? It happened. We will discuss on Extra Rounds presented from UFC Fight Pass. We are powered by DraftKings Sportsbook, the official sports betting partner of the UFC. Sign up right now. Use the promo code FightPass and get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Hey, everybody. I'm TJ DeSantis. Thanks for joining us here on Extra Rounds. It wouldn't be a fun post-fight show if I didn't have one of the best people in the business with me. Her name is Pearl Gonzalez. Pearl, where are you? I know Sean Strickland says women belong in the kitchen, but I didn't think that meant you were going to broadcast from your kitchen tonight.
Absolutely. Women belong in the kitchen. So here we are. And look, I even made this fabulous spread for you. If you can take a look here, look at that. I made you a delicious sandwich. Too bad you're not here to eat it, TJ.
Well, it looks like that's a salad. You just have tomatoes and lettuce on that plate. I don't know.
What goes in the sandwich? Please enlighten us.
I mean, peanut butter and jelly, generally. I don't know what's going on with your camera now. We're going to figure this out. But, yeah, I don't know.
I mean...
All right, there we go. Whatever you did, don't do that again.
Typically, I didn't do anything.
Okay, well, good.
So I put turkey breast. I put some ham. I put some provolone. I put some salami. I put some mayonnaise. And then I put lettuce and tomato.
Leave it to you to make a sandwich sound offensive. Like, what was with the accent there? I digress. Anyway, let's talk about DDP. Getting it done down under in Australia. A dominant decision victory for him. 50-45 twice, 49-46 once. And I think the narrative of this fight moving forward, a lot of people are going to remember DDP breaking the nose of Sean Strickland, made it bloody, made it a grinding fight. And it was that typical brand of DDP pressure that we're becoming used to seeing inside the octagon.
You know, it was a very interesting performance to break down, because the way I look at it is DDP is an incredible athlete. And I feel like at this point in his career, that is his biggest tool in his toolbox, is his athleticism, his ability to push the pace, to continuously just fire and fire and fire and move fast and be able to get out of these interesting positions. And I feel like that is a big part of how he breaks people down and how he finishes them, is through his athleticism. And when you're at this level, at the highest level, you know, the skills are usually so met, they're so equally met, that you need these little things. And typically it's not conditioning, it's not athleticism, because we're dealing with freak athletes here, right? And at the top of the level. But it's just incredible to kind of watch him as he fights, as he trains. He is such an amazing athlete. I really believe athletically we are looking at one of the greatest ever. I don't know if we've had someone like him, because I don't know yet if his fight skills have met that athleticism yet. Watching that fight tonight, he adjusted. It was interesting because in the first fight, if you watched, he was very mobile. He was mixing the takedowns and combining the striking to the takedowns, the transitions, moving around, a lot of spin kicks. And he didn't really do that this fight. He sat in front of Sean this time. And that to me shows his confidence is growing and his ability, where he didn't have to move. He didn't have to wrestle. He literally just had to stand in front of him and was able to outstrike him. But if I believe he doesn't have his skills yet, where I feel like he could have finished that fight had he have been able to move around the body a little bit better. And I think that where he is going to grow at in his skill set is the footwork, because he doesn't quite have that figured out yet.
And I don't know if he's ever going to have that part figured out, Pearl, because he's simply just this different kind of fighter. Like, he looks sloppy at times. There was a time where he almost fell over in this fight, and it wasn't because he was even pushed off balance. Like, his feet just, they're not, I don't want to say they're uneducated feet, but they're just like kind of sloppy feet. They kind of go everywhere, and no one's made him pay for that. And you know, to his credit, that's really good on him. You know, this is a sport where you're not allowed to make one tiny mistake, because you know your championship reign can go up in smoke real quick. And you know, there are questions about Dricus moving forward that I think we're going to find out, but it's going to be reliant on the division trying to make him pay where others haven't. You made a great point tonight. He stood in front of Sean Strickland and kind of played the game that Sean normally plays and gets the better of most people at. You know, tonight it was a DDP night. Now, I'm curious, when we look at Sean Strickland, he said all week, guys, this is probably going to be a 5-round fight. I'm not probably going to be able to finish Dricus because, you know, stylistically, it didn't favor him. Once his nose was broken, Pearl, and he was like literally trying to adjust it mid-fight, which is the hardest thing in the world for me to watch. I can't handle people trying to straighten their own nose. But once that happened, I was like, I think he might be done. Not that Sean broke, because I don't think he broke. But when you know that odds are you're not going to be able to finish, you know, a fight, and now you have to do so with a nose that is going from one side of your face to the other side of your face just with your own head movement, never mind getting, you know, continuously hit there, it seemed like Sean was kind of, you know, up a river, you know, without a paddle, as that old saying might go. What were your thoughts? Like, do you feel like Sean mentally broke it all in this fight?
I think that there were moments. I think that the nose was the big issue. As soon as he got hit, he immediately reacted, and he ran for a while, which is so smart from him. He's such a talented, experienced athlete, but I don't feel like he ever turned on tonight. He never led the dance. He's got such beautiful, clean ones and twos. I mean, we're looking at him right now. Like, look at the ferociousness and the intensity that he brings into the fight. I never saw that tonight from him. He kind of let and allowed for DDP to kind of have his way and fight his fight. He is an incredible defensive striker, in which we saw tonight. And he was able to negate a lot of DDP's strikes. But he never really, I felt like it was more of a fight for him not to lose than it was a fight for him to win.
Yeah.
And he was able to get underneath DDP a couple times. He didn't try to wrestle him. He has incredible grappling. He's been in my workroom several times throughout the years. I've watched him, you know, firsthand grapple. He's a great grappler. He didn't utilize any of those skills. I mean, he just stood in front of DDP and relied on his defense. And you're not going to win fights relying on defense. You have to fight. And I do think that the nose, I give him hats off to him for putting his nose back in. I've had my nose moved in a fight and moved in sparring. And people wait. They wait for a doctor. And it's just the more time your nose is out, the harder and longer that will be to heal. You have to immediately move it and put it right back where it belongs. So I give him a lot of credit for fixing what he needed to in that moment. But I just felt like he didn't bring anything to the table tonight. And I don't know. Was it nourishment, his nutrition? Was it the environment? Was he tired? Like, did he not get enough sleep? I don't know, because I don't feel like he showed up tonight to fight a championship fight.
We look for answers that I think are not as simplistic as we want them to be. I'm looking in our chat now on YouTube, and someone commented, Sean didn't try. I don't think that's the case. I don't think Sean didn't try. I do think, though, that Sean came into this fight with all the experience that he had in his first go-around with Dricus and thought that the fight was going to play out similarly. It just didn't go that way. Now, was it...
But
go ahead.
He didn't fight like he did the first fight. The first fight, He came forward. He did not come forward in this fight.
And that's what I'm saying. I think because you were saying that we didn't see him wrestle. We didn't see him grapple. Right. He didn't change the game plan in the sense that like he was going to fight differently than the first fight. But I think he went in there trying to mimic that same sort of fight, but for whatever reason, it just got away from him. And I don't know if it was in the back of his mind every second of the way, this is probably going the distance, and oh crap, I'm down a round. Oh crap, I'm down 2 rounds. He goes over to his corner after the second round, and Eric Nixick, is all in his face going, Sean, I need this round. I need this round if we're gonna, win this fight. And sometimes I wonder, it's the same thing in the Tatiana Suarez and Zhang Weili fight in the co-main. I wonder sometimes if fighters just, it's not that they're necessarily beaten, but they realize that the challenge is become so much harder to grab if we're going to play the points game. And once you're down, in a 3-round fight, you can't afford to drop a minute, let alone an entire round. In a 5-round fight, you can kind of sit back and be tactical and go, okay, maybe I don't need the first round as badly as I, might need the 4th or 5th round. But it just seemed like Sean Strickland, for whatever reason, you're right, Pearl, looked up at his corner, looked, where he was in the fight and went, dang, like now I'm fighting 2 enemies here. I'm fighting DDP, the reigning defending champion, and I'm fighting a clock. I got to make something happen and, get your nose smashed and broken in half. That's not going to make it easier either.
It's not, but you said something very interesting. You said that, maybe I can give up a round. And that is really what defines and defies a champion from the rest of the contenders is a champion never goes in here to get past this round. Do they fight the storm? They do, but they're always trying to win. They're adjusting. Like that is the greatest asset of a champion is they can adjust. They may not be the most technical, but they can certainly adjust. And if we look at this fight tonight, DDP made the adjustments. I do think, and he made a ton of improvements this fight from his last fight, but I do think that, and I believe we will see this in him because of the way that his skills are developing at the pace that they're developing. He's developing at such a quick, he's learning on the job right now, DDP is. But I think that the footwork and him unable to use his feet are everything. They are your offense, they're your defense, they're your ability to work around the body. And he doesn't have the footwork yet. He doesn't have that down. He doesn't have the balance. He doesn't have the mechanics to strike and move because he hasn't really owned the footwork. And so I think that as he continues on with his athleticism, with his grit and his just sheer will and that champion mentality, as he continues to progress, we will see a better performance. But, Sean, I just felt like Sean, and I don't know, I've been in a fight where it is. The mountain is huge. It's too big in this moment. There's too many other things going on. My nose, my breathing, my corner telling me this and that. And I thought the corner gave him great advice coming out of that second round. They told him, this dude switches. As soon as he switches, step to the left and throw the right hand. And he has the right hand is his best punch. How often he did not really throw it tonight. And it was landing several times when he did throw it. So that was kind of interesting too, because even I think it was the second round, going into the second round, they said, have confidence in your right hand.
Yeah.
And there was no confidence. So maybe it was confidence that was the issue.
And it's not like Sean is, notorious for fading down the stretch. Like, I don't think it was him thinking, like, I can't be overzealous with the right hand because I need to still have, volume in rounds 4 or 5. But he didn't have volumes in round 1, 2, or 3 either.
Right.
The volume wasn't there. And, it just might have been tactically he was one step behind mentally in getting things going. Like sometimes fighters are just flat. It seemed like Sean was flat tonight. Let's talk about what.
Well, maybe before we move on, maybe it's because he said women belong in the kitchen and they deserve to make sandwiches, which is why I made him the sandwich. Do you like it?
Oh, wait. So this is the sandwich is for Sean Strickland?
This sandwich is for Sean. Sean, here's your sandwich.
Well, he's about 28 hours away from. What are you doing?
There you go, Sean.
Okay, true story. I used to sit on my sandwiches in elementary school so I could eat them faster and get outside to go to recess. But you're gonna get us kicked off of YouTube. I think I don't.
You know what? You're right. We don't want this sandwich. Let's just get rid of it. We're good.
There's so many things going on here that I want to ask questions about, and I'm going to move on. So let's ask this question. What is next for the champ in DDP? Because it's crazy to see a champion where we're still asking questions and still seeing him develop. He's in the top spot at 185 pounds. On the mic, after he sort of pondered the idea of a super fight with
Well,
Alex?
those two have been going back and forth
Right.
since his last fight.
Well,
So we know that
Alex was there. He had a front row seat tonight.
and it was kind of cool because right after he said that they were standing next to each other and they were both respectful, maybe because Alex didn't understand what was happening. But I believe that what is next for him is Hamza. I mean, what else is next other than Hamzat Chimaev?
Yeah, I mean, I think anytime anybody wants to throw the name Alex Pereira out there, people are going to get excited. I would love to see a DDP Alex Pereira fight. Obviously, the light heavyweight champion has some business to take care of coming up here in March. But you're right. Hamzat has been the boogeyman of this division. His status has kind of been up and down on whether or not he's fighting. He's coming off the most disgusting victory I've seen via rear naked choke ever. You're right. I mean, that's the fight that makes sense. But I just always get nervous when we talk about Hamzat Chimaev and whether or not the fight is announced and we actually get to that date and he's still on the card.
Yes, that was my argument today, kind of talking about Hamzat is like, he has everything that you would want or need in a champion to be a champion and to be a very decisive champion, like kind of like what happened in our co-main event. But it is difficult with the health issues and just kind of and everything else that he has going on in his life is, will he make it there? And that's what we all hope. We all hope, because I would certainly love to see that fight because DDP is so athletic. He catches up with that athleticism and the skills that he doesn't necessarily have in the night of the fight. He can utilize that athleticism, and he can also grapple, and he's a great grappler. So I'd love to see kind of how that fight plays out, that pace that he has, that intensity that he brings to a fight, the chaotic environment that he creates. Can Hamzat deal with that?
Right. I mean, and can DDP handle the pressure of Hamzat Chimaev? Because he's a guy that does not let you breathe.
Right.
You can't even turn your body to an angle to him for a brief moment, because if you overextend on a punch, all of a sudden he can take your back. He can drag you through the mud, and we know he can squeeze all the way through your face. And I don't know. We'll see if that's that's always been the logical move, it seems, as of late. For Hamzat, he got back to action. He beat Robert Whittaker not so long ago. We'll see what happens moving forward. I would love to see it, but I'm trying to look at the other ranked opponents here that are breaking in, because for a long time this has always been a division of Adesanya, Whittaker, Strickland, Pereira, and now as of late Duplessis. But like Nasruddin Imavov, coming off a big win over Israel Adesanya. His name is interesting. Caio Borralho, Brazilian. He's ranked number 6. Jared Cannonier and Marvin Vettori. We get back into guys that not necessarily have fought DDP, but have fought for titles within the last 2 or 3 years. So there are some fresh names there, but no other name besides Hamzat Chimaev matters right now, I think, when it comes to potential for DDP, and hopefully we can get
Alex?
it this year. Yeah, I mean, Alex, let's not even talk about Alex right now, because I don't know if middleweight is a real, true option for him. If they were to fight at a, catch weight, sure, whatever. But, obviously we've got Alex Pereira booked to fight here on March 8th. So.
Yes, and DDP said, don't come down to my weight, I'll come to your weight.
Right. Yeah, but still.
So that was interesting.
And I don't necessarily like the idea of a fighter going for another title when he's still fresh into his run at middleweight. Like, this is the second title defense for Drickus. So, let's talk about another championship performance. And we saw a dominant one tonight. Zhang Weili victorious tonight in a very big way. She hands Tatiana Suarez the first loss of her career. Weili successful in her second title defense on this run, her fourth title defense overall between her two reigns. And, I don't want to, bury the lead here. She looked dominant against a very dominant and flawless to this date fighter in Tatiana Suarez. But what Zhang Weili is doing in captivating fans in a language that is not her first language, she's done so well, whether it was the countdown show, whether it was the pre-fight press obligations coming into this fight, or even just the post-fight interview with Daniel Cormier, it's hard not to fall in love with Zhang Weili, and that's truly iconic. Because we've been talking. I remember when you and I were on Extra Rounds like 3 years ago. We were talking about how big of a deal she was on TikTok, which I couldn't even have on my phone anymore. I had it, and then I got a new phone, Pearl, and now apparently I try to open TikTok. It's like, oh, you don't have it anymore. It's like it's still installed on the phone. It's just a new phone. I'm upset about it. But,
really?
Yeah, it's
I haven't
a problem.
checked mine. That's interesting.
But yeah, so Zhang Weili already, I think on the bubble. I mean, she's already a UFC Hall of Famer. She's going to be one of the greatest of all time. But she's actually being a mainstream marketable champion again, resonating with English-speaking fans, which very few non-native speakers can really get over with fans without a lot of work, and she's obviously done a lot of work.
TJ, I remember when she first won that belt against Andrade, and it was like 4 a.m. our time. She was in China. It was so significant. It was such a monumental moment, not only for women, but for, Chinese. And she was the first Chinese champion. And she is amazing. You're talking about her learning English and the way she's learning how to speak, and she's trying to learn and trying to speak it. She is just one of those. If you follow her, she works so hard. She is a hard worker. She just wants to learn and get better. And man, I don't know about you, but she blew it out of the water tonight. The way that she was able to not only deal with Tatiana, but the way she handled Tatiana. She didn't just hand Tatiana her first loss. She took her down. She got on top of Tatiana and controlled her for a majority of that fight and just beat her up. I don't think we've ever seen any woman do that to Tatiana. Tatiana is incredible. She's extremely big for the division, so she's strong. The way that she wrestles, the skill set that Tatiana has, the level of competition and competitiveness that she had in her wrestling, that speaks so much. And then you added what she's been through in her life, all of the injuries, dealing with and defeating and overcoming cancer. Just, she's a monster. And it was amazing to witness and see how far Weili has come. And she dealt with everything. She was one step ahead of Tatiana from every moment, from the takedowns to when she was on top of her. She was doing such a great job of constantly fishing for underhooks, looking for ways underneath, pushing at her head, getting her head inside, fighting for head position. When she was on top of Tatiana, who had a really good sweep attempt, she was going really heavy under the leg. And Weili was constantly wrestling and playing the leg game and pulling her leg out. And these are these tiny little details that are so hard to not only remember in a world championship fight in front of the world against this opponent, but to actually pull off. And she was so detailed in every little area of the fight. It was incredible. It was such an amazing fight to witness.
100%. I don't want to take anything away from Zhang Weili and the performance at all. I thought it was incredibly impressive, but I did want to bring this up to you because Tatiana Suarez defeated for the first time tonight. Was undefeated coming into this fight. But I think we saw a product of what can happen when you get to the highest level in the sport and you have yet to really face real adversity in a fight. Tatiana Suarez, I mean, you can't be mad at her for being undefeated, but I think there are real, true lessons coming up to the UFC. And if you can, get into a fight where you're a sizable underdog and you have to, face real adversity and maybe come back, from being down in a fight to get your hand raised or lose and go back to the drawing board, you're much better for it. And again, you mentioned all the adversity for Tatiana Suarez. It's not her fault that it's been 11 years as a pro and she only has 11 pro fights. She obviously transitioned from wrestling to mixed martial arts, battled cancer, going through that. Really hard knee injury, but she hadn't fought in the last 18 months. She didn't fight the entire years of 2020 or 2022, and I don't know if she wasn't healthy or 100%, but I think again it goes back to kind of what we saw with Sean Strickland. The mountain got to be incredibly steep after 10 minutes of fighting, where it's like, I've never been in this situation before. She was cut, she was bloody. in there with an all-time great who looked to be in vintage form. And again, I kind of want to ask you the question, Pearl. Like, are you better for having a loss in your career before you get a world title opportunity?
First and foremost, 18 months off. What a fight to come back to.
Yeah.
What a fight to come back to against Weili. And absolutely, you this is what defines us as fighters is it's not the wins, right? You learn far more from your lessons learned. I don't like to call them losses, but you learn far more from your lessons learned, and you will remember those way more than you would ever remember a win. And Tatiana has been through way worse in her life, realistically. She will absolutely come back. What was really interesting, TJ, was, she split her knee open. And if you looked at that cut, there is no doubt that that was scar tissue from a surgery. So we don't even know what she could have been dealing with another torn. She just had her
Right.
entire knee done. Like, we don't know if she was dealing with a torn knee throughout this fight.
Yeah.
And never once did she put her head down. Did she turn away from the fight? She constantly continued to fight.
Yeah, and let's not forget, you mentioned the 18 months off. She had fights scheduled in February of last year as well as December of last year, and she had to pull out of those fights. And, I think that, you want to be the best you can be, and it's important to maybe have a comeback fight. But when the opportunity to fight for a title comes, you don't always get to do it on your perfect terms, your perfect ideal scenario. And my question, I guess, now for Tatiana is, what is next for her, Pearl? Do you feel, because again, 11 years into this, a lot of adversity outside of the octagon, tonight a lot of adversity inside the octagon. Can she battle back and get into title contention again, or is this maybe the sort of beginning of the backside of her career where she fades off into the distance?
That's a question that she has to answer herself. Realistically, I think that for Tatiana, what this like shows me, and just kind of, what's the word? Like, it puts a stamp on it. What's that word? Like, reconfirms, I guess you could say, is the amount and the speed at which our sport is evolving right now. Tatiana was so far advanced 4 or 5 years ago. Her skill set, no other woman had that in the sport. And she has taken a lot of time off. Weili has fought several people. She's lost. Look at Weili. Weili came back after getting knocked out dead. And look where she's at tonight. And so it's not a question of can she come back. It's does she want to? And more so, to me, this just kind of proves how quickly our sport's evolving. Like, our sport is absolutely 360 from what it was back in 2020, 360 from what it was 2 years ago. And the rate that these athletes are evolving and moving forward is incredible. Like, these are real. Tell me, give me, what were athletes like 15 years ago compared to what we saw tonight?
It's interesting because I was thinking about that in regards to the middleweight division. And Rich Franklin seems to be sort of the litmus test for me, because Rich was a guy that could beat everybody at 185 pounds except Anderson Silva. And he was a guy that you almost didn't want to give a top shelf contender to, because Rich was going to basically stall them out and make sure that they couldn't fight Anderson Silva because he would beat them. But he wasn't going to be able to beat Anderson himself. How would Rich Franklin, I wonder, do today in the UFC's middleweight division? Because he was good. He was great. He was kind of like
prime.
Right. You would like to think that the sport has changed so much that he would get blown out of the water. But Rich was an interesting fighter. He wasn't the typical 85-pounder of that time. And obviously he wasn't Anderson Silva, who is the greatest middleweight of all time. But, I hate to call you out on this, Pearl, but you said were the sport's 360 degrees separated from where it was 2 years ago? That means it's in the same exact spot. Because if
you know what? I guess so.
Yeah, no, but 180 degrees, I think you mean, because that means it's in the opposite direction. Sure. I don't know. You're right, though. It continues to trend up.
I would give it to you, but I don't have it. It's gone.
Yeah, I know. So you wanted to do some weird competition tonight?
Yes. Wait, let me get my pot pie, though, because I even have a pot pie. Because they were in Australia. Yes, I made a pot pie. Let me show you this bad boy.
This angle makes me nervous.
Okay, so let me tell you, though. I will say this. I agree with Sean. I really do. I agree. I believe that women belong in the kitchen. Look at my pot pie. Do you like it?
So, okay, so tell me, You told me this off the air that a pot pie apparently is like an Australian dish. Like
Yes,
I
they're called Aussie pies.
okay, then why do we call them pot pies?
Well, we're American and we fuck
Oh,
shit up, so
that's a
we
great
call
point.
it.
That's a great point.
So we call them pot pies, but they're actually called Aussie pies.
Okay, so let's see what you got working here. So, I mean, did you actually make that, or is that like a frozen thing?
No, it's a frozen one.
Oh,
I didn't
okay,
make shit.
good for
But
you. Good for you for being honest. You could have just lied
you
to
know
me,
what?
and you know.
I could have, but I mean, I make stuff from scratch all the time. I did not have time today to make this from scratch, but it's a steak one, and we're gonna try it out.
Oh, steak pot pie. That sounds good.
Does it?
I mean, what's inside of it? Obviously, steak.
It's steak and potatoes, but I don't see the steak. That's what I want.
I mean, how can you go wrong with steak and potatoes?
You know what I mean? That sounds American to me.
You don't even need to put it in a pie. I'll just eat the
You
steak.
don't, but think about the croissant top.
How is it? I don't. Those aren't words. I don't know. Okay.
I'll tell you this.
Okay.
I'll tell you this. I'm in Chicago. It's cold as ever here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And this is like, to me, this is Midwest food right here.
It's,
Did you grow up on a pot pie?
Unfortunately, I grew up on a lot of frozen meals. But
The little ones, you remember those? Those are bomb with the cheese in them.
chicken pot pies, yeah. Like you are very correct in the idea that is Midwest food. That is food that will stick to your bones.
So you're telling me I'm going to be fat after this?
No, I would never, in a million years, ever suggest that you would be fat after this. Absolutely not. Can't believe you'd ever say that. I do enjoy how you've turned this whole women belong in the kitchen thing around here.
You know what I mean? Listen, I don't like that he said that, right? I guess I feel like a lot of people are like just ruffled a little feathers. But reality is I agree. I really do believe that women should be in the kitchen cooking. I love cooking. I'm in the kitchen all the time cooking. I'm always cooking things.
I don't care if you're a man or a woman. If you know how to cook and I'm coming over for dinner, you belong in the kitchen. So, yeah, if you can cook.
Really?
I mean, yeah, because I want to eat good food. I don't want to come over to your house for dinner and you don't know how to cook. That'd be bad.
What does the chat think?
Uh,
Let's see what the chat thinks.
I'm in the chat. Someone said, who the fook are these weasels? Apparently, they think they're Conor McGregor.
Okay.
But you wanted to do dances tonight. You wanted to do fight picks. So we made our fight picks against each other. And wouldn't you know it, we ended in a tie. We both went 1-1, with one being a draw. But you had ideas to like make us dance. And you've been dancing all night in your chair with no music. So I feel like you can just continue dancing.
No, we are 1-1, so that means we both have the options here. We have 3 dances to choose from. I'm going to let you.
I can't
This
dance.
is why I will let you choose first. You have 3 options. You can do the Conor McGregor.
Okay.
Who the fuck? That guy?
Right.
That guy. Or you can do the Potan.
Right.
Alex Tejeda. Or you can do the Trump dance. Which one are you doing?
I can't really do any of them because I don't have the space that you do in a kitchen.
Yes, you do.
By the way, that's a beautiful kitchen. If you're going to be in a kitchen, that's a great kitchen to be in. Nice kitchen.
My auntie's in Chicago. Thank you.
Yeah. I can't do the Conor because I simply just don't have the space.
Okay, then you can do the Trump.
I don't really know the Trump dance, though.
I thought do you have a video of there it is. That's the move.
Okay, but I can't move my hips, Pearl.
You don't have to move your hips. He does not move his hips that much either, by the way.
That's a lot of hip movement.
That's Jones, but Trump will just do his little hands. You know, he just does a little quick hand thing, little hand movement here, like. There you go. There you go. Do it again. I didn't see.
Okay. This is stupid. I don't know why you're making me do this.
But okay, add a little like shoulder. Come on, man. Get a little get real. There you.
The things that I do for you, it's just not.
Oh, that was great.
You. I want to see you do the Poeton though, because I think this is. Let's remind everyone what it looks like, and when you do it, you got to do the scream and everything.
Okay, wait. Do I got to stand up?
Yeah, but hang on, not yet. We're looking at Alex do it. This is the longest one ever. Apparently, I didn't clip this very well. There we go. Ah. Okay. You like
One,
it?
2, 3.
All right.
Okay.
There we go.
All right. Hold on. No, can I add my own twist to this move or no?
Absolutely. You can do whatever you want. It's your kitchen. That hurt my ears so much. Oh my goodness. Sit back down before we get kicked off of YouTube.
Okay.
All right. Not bad.
All right.
You know
You
what?
like that?
I can say without question that you are fairly dangerous with a children's toy bow. We saw that
You
at
know,
IFW last
yes.
year.
Yeah, I did. I got
All
some
right.
practicing.
That was terrifying. Look, I don't know why anybody thought it'd be a good idea to give you a weapon that launches projectiles, whether they're toys or not, in a crowded convention area.
It was in the center. It was the best thing ever. I was just firing them off at anybody that I could reach. I was trying to get them. You know,
It's a miracle no one lost an eye that week in Las Vegas. So
it was a blast.
yeah, I had a blast with you tonight. By the way, I'm kind of
Yeah,
jealous I don't have a pot
wait.
pie.
I know. It's actually delicious. But wait, my aunt's gonna do a shoey with me to end the night.
Oh, all right.
You ready for this, Dia?
Let's bring her in.
Dia?
She
Are you
fell
here?
asleep. She fell asleep.
She's definitely not asleep.
She's
Let me
like, you
text her.
guys are talking about fights. I was tired.
Dia! I don't want to yell too loud because I'm on the mic.
People in the chat are asking, what's your Instagram? Which is not a shocking question. I'm surprised they're not following you already.
Pearl Gonzalez. Pearl
Uh-oh.
Gonzalez.
Here comes someone.
Here
in
she
your
is.
kitchen.
The queen is here. Are we doing a shoey? Yes. Are we going to do it out of my shoes? Oh man! All right, hold on. No, okay, hold on.
Oh my God! That's a big shoe. Like,
No shit. It's a good shoe too. Here we go. No, we each get a shoe.
What are you gonna pour in that?
Yeah, what are we pouring this bad boy?
I'm gonna bring us in on a 2-shot here while you take that thing off.
Okay.
What am I doing? with my
Pours?
life?
I thought we were doing a seltzer.
Oh my goodness. Those look like larger than 12-ounce cans.
Oh God. Here we go. Thea says hi if you don't hear her. It's only one. No, we each won. All right, fine.
Are you gonna pour all of that in there?
We're gonna do half.
What a way to ruin a nice pair of boots.
No, they're leather.
Pour it in there. They're still gonna smell like whatever that is forever.
We'll wipe them. Ready? What do we say? Cheers! Aussie, Aussie, Aussie.
Oi, oi, oi. Oh my goodness.
Okay. Wow.
Well, Pearl wins the competition there. Sorry.
Oh man.
Good job. Tai Tuivasa would be proud, is what the chat is saying.
Oh, yay.
And
thank you, guys.
Now your esophagus is going to have athlete's foot or athlete's esophagus.
Excuse you. I have very clean feet. Thank you.
Yeah, they're cleaner than mine. I can guarantee you.
You know what? Listen, it's one thing if they were like my gym shoes for training, but they're not. These are my good shoes, so they don't get worn very often.
I was in my closet today organizing. Guess how many pairs of shoes I have, Pearl?
How many? Wait. I'm gonna 73.
No, not 73.
How many?
24.
24.
24
wow.
pairs of shoes. Yeah.
Okay.
22 more than my wife currently has. So
oh my goodness. He has 24 pairs of shoes and 22 more than his wife has.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It is. Almost as crazy as you broadcasting from the kitchen.
Women belong in the kitchen.
Yeah. All right. Well, when am I going to see you next? Probably Hollywood Fight Nights, no?
Hollywood Fight Nights. We will be back at it. TJ and I will be live coming from Shumash Casino for 360 boxing. I can't wait. We got a great night of boxing coming up, TJ.
Yeah, Sugarcane Sandoval back in action. It's going to be fun and exciting. So you can watch that live on UFC Fight Pass. And Pearl, anytime we can do extra rounds, whether it's in the middle of the week or post-fight like this, I'm down. It's always fun having you on. And, I always get nervous that this is always my last broadcast anytime we work together. And I can say without any reservations that was the case tonight as well. So if we're not invited back, maybe it was worth it, I guess.
We'll just ask the chat. Ask the chat if they want us back.
Yeah, I think they're trying to make jokes about how I said I was in the closet earlier today.
Oh, my goodness. That is hilarious.
All right, I got to go. Bye, Pearl.
All right, love you.
All
Bye.
Right. That's Pearl Gonzalez here on Extra Rounds. I'm TJ DeSantis, about to put a bow on this broadcast. But before we do so, let's take a look at the odds and see how everything shook out tonight. Of course, we are powered by our friends over at DraftKings Sportsbook. It is the official sports betting partner of the UFC. New customers right now can get $200 in bonus bets when they place their first $5 bet when they sign up. Download the app right now. When you do, use the promo code FightPass and get your $200 in bonus bets instantly. This is what we saw the odds open up as. Dricus Duplessis was minus 205 tonight in his second title defense. And let's take a look at where those odds shifted come fight time tonight. They close with DDP at minus 225. Strickland swells up to plus 185. And, it was a lot wider of a line than that when you look at the performance turned in by the reigning defending champion. It was not necessarily unfinished business by any means tonight, because down in Sydney, it was a fight that was ran back from their first meeting just about a year ago. Some people did believe that Sean Strickland did enough to get his hand raised in Toronto. That was not the case. And people, they thought that the fight tonight was going to look a little bit different. And I guess it did look different from their first go-around, but it wasn't the fight or output that Sean Strickland wanted, or more importantly, needed. DDP able to turn it on and prove that he is the best in the world at 185 pounds. He did so. We'll see what is next for him. Thanks for tuning in and checking out Extra Rounds from UFC Fight Pass. Strongly suggest you go back and check it out and sign up for Fight Pass if you're not already. And I want to thank our friends over at DraftKings Sportsbook for making this all possible. For Pearl Gonzalez, I'm TJ DeSantis. We'll see you next time for more Extra Rounds here on UFC Fight Pass.